big deal about a kids menu? Well, once you have kids, you know. It seems like it's getting harder and harder to find kid-friendly meals at affordable prices. At Paradise Falls, the kids menu is not only diverse, it's a total steal. For some of the cheapest prices in town, you can get hamburgers, mac and cheese, and other kid favorites for super low prices. Paradise Falls is a family-friendly restaurant open 7 days a week. Come enjoy a meal with your kiddos in Paradise at Paradise Falls, 3621 Brook Street, Missoula's coolest hotspot.
Join the club, the Legacy Club from Farmer State Bank. Our Legacy Club members enjoy legacy events and functions, as well as a dedicated customer service concierge in each market. Best of all, club members receive invitations for both foreign and domestic small group travel. Open a Legacy secure checking account and it's all yours. Friendship, adventure, fun. Join the Farmer State Bank Legacy Club today. Farmer State Bank, your Montana bank since 1907, member FDIC.
Trisha Droback with Run Wild Missoula here. Join me Thursday, November 6th with fellow MC and professional trail runner Jeff McGavro as Montana Trail Crew presents the 12th Annual Mountain Running Film Festival at the historic Wilma. The evening features a collection of inspiring films highlighting the joy, inspiration, and potential of mountain and trail running in Montana and beyond. Proceeds from this event fund local trail stewardship projects. See you November 6th at the Wilma in downtown Missoula for the Mountain Running Film Festival. Details and tickets at runwildmissoula.org.
Grizzly Disposal is proud to be a locally owned and operated business in Montana. They don't offer any gimmicks or special rates because they don't have to. Their service speaks for itself. With no surprises on your bills, no rate increases, and local staff handling everything from your phone calls to your garbage disposal. Call 541-7171 to switch your service and see for yourself. Visit grizzlydisposal.com for more info on residential and commercial service. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage.
Your Montana Grizzly hockey team is rolling through the regular season, and your home for every game is 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Catch live broadcasts of Grizz hockey all season long to be a part of every shift, one-timer, and power play. For your chance to experience the fun in person, be sure to tune in to Nuanez Now every weekday from 4 to 6 for your chance to win Grizz hockey tickets, along with a gift card from our friends at Canby Tap House. Your home for everything hockey is 102.9 ESPN Missoula.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. It's time for Montana's only daily sports talk show, Nuanez Now. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
I like football!
Now here's your host, Coulter Nuanez.
Can't believe it's basketball season. Crazy. But plenty of football talk coming your way because it's also football season. Welcome in to Nuanez Now, 129 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Run around like a crazy man today. Had all sorts of different obligations here, there, and everywhere. Lots of stuff going on. Crossover season certainly is when it becomes the real deal. But we love it, and got a chance to get some eyes on the Grizz basketball team. Got a chance to talk some Big Sky Conference basketball with the league office. I was on the Big Sky tip-off special show. I guess I recorded it actually probably a week ago or so, but I think that debuted today, so maybe we'll put that on our social media channels. And oh, by the way, we're into November. At least we will be on Saturday with a couple road games coming down the pipe for both Montana and Montana State. So we'll get to all that here today. We are coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal is locally owned and veteran-owned, and the only bears that should be in your garbage. We'll get things kicked off with Sam Herder, Hero Sports, talking all the way around the wide world of the FCS. We'll also talk about some Bobcat football with Talon Marsh, a former Montana Gatorade Player of the Year out of Helena Capital. He is finding his way into the rotation there on the Bobcat D-line, so a little update on him, but also some perspective on some of the guys that he's been cutting his teeth behind. Montana State only has 9 seniors this year, but 4 of them are on the defensive front. Their front 4 are all seniors, so that's a huge advantage for them. And a cool learning experience for a young man from Montana to sort of learn the way that those guys go about operating. We're talking some baseball. Jeff Safford will sit in the chair with me. Can't believe that the World Series is going how it's going, but I'm happy it is because it's more baseball for us. I thought this had a chance to be. Here's the deal. After the Dodgers won in 18 innings on Monday, I thought that they would just win going away last night, and then basically the series would be hanging in the balance this evening. But instead, Toronto shocks the world and wins last night. They put it on Shohei Ohtani a little bit and then kept on rolling. And now all of a sudden, don't look now, but it's 2-2. We got ourselves a real World Series. We got 3 games left, basically. Well, at least 2. But I'm expecting it's probably going to be, it's basically a 3-game series now. The best 2 out of 3 between these 2 teams. So we'll get Safford's reaction to all that. Hour number 2, we do have a Grizz basketball ESPN roundtable for you. Caught up with Money Williams, Tajon Sawyer, a couple of the top returners for the Grizz. They are picked to win the league this year after going to the NCAA tournament last year. And we'll also hear from their head guy, who's also one of the longest tenured coaches in the Big Sky Conference in any sport. One of our favorites, Travis DeCuire, will also join us. That's coming up about 5 o'clock. And we'll also give you some Northern Colorado talk. Broke down Weber State quite a bit yesterday. That's where Montana plays on Saturday. And then we'll break down Northern Colorado today. That's where the Bobcats play on Saturday evening. And then we'll also have our latest Grizz football interview. Jake Mason, a defensive lineman for the University of Montana. He'll join us after practice, when the Grizz get done with practice, probably between about 5:40 and 5:45. So looking forward to that as well. So there you go. That's what's coming up here on Nuanez Now. You want to stream the show, you always can, 1029ESPN.com. You can also always use the ESPN MT app. You can also always use YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And no matter how you're joining us, we appreciate you for being here. And if you'd like to be a part of this fine radio program, call us or text us anytime, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. You're going to want to remember that because we have free wings from the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill coming up for you in about 40 minutes as well, 406-888-1029. And all guests join us via the Elevated Tax and Accounting phone line, which is where we go right now to welcome in our good buddy Sam Herder. It is our Inside the FCS. Sam, thanks for being here, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
First of all, I got to get your thoughts on Saturday night's affair in Brookings, South Dakota. It's funny watching the Twitter sphere because I think the perception coming into this game was that North Dakota State was the number 1 team, but that they hadn't played anybody yet. I think people had just been scoreboard watching, but not very many people had actually turned on the television and watched them. Then I think a lot of people turned on the television and watched this game on ESPNU between North Dakota State and South Dakota State. And I think a lot of people around the FCS were left stunned thinking, wow, NDSU looks as good as ever. How is anybody going to beat that team? A lot of people were anointing the Bison the national champions, even though we got a month of the regular season left after their 38-7 win over South Dakota State. What did you make of what went down in Brookings on Saturday night?
Yeah, it was definitely interesting being there. My post-game column was more about just like the number 1 versus number 2, like what are the vibes, what's the atmosphere like, and it was kind of weird, honestly, because I feel like most of the storyline going into the game was Chase Mason going to play or not, and even if he hadn't played, 50% health, 100% healthy, like NDSU still would have won that game. They were that good, that day, and they might be that good this season. I picked NDSU to win by 10 with the expectation that Chase Mason was going to play. But when, I feel like most people around South Dakota State, the fan base, if not late Friday night, early Saturday, like kind of realize, okay, Chase Mason isn't going to play. And I feel like that just took the wind out of the sails, quite a bit. And, it didn't take long for NDSU to completely make that home crowd go mum, and just be, silent, eerily quiet at times. So it was one of those things where, like, if you're a UFC or a boxing fan, whatever, like, and you're getting ready to watch a heavyweight fight and you're amped up, and like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I'm so excited for this. And then someone wins with a knockout blow in 30 seconds. And you're kind of like, oh, that was okay. I wasn't really, expecting that. Like, that was kind of the vibes in the stadium because it was number 1 versus number 2, national television. It was a record crowd for South Dakota State, and 8 minutes into the game, it did not feel like a number one versus number two at all. And obviously give credit to NDSU for that, because they took the crowd out of the game early and kind of just rolled from there.
Cole Payton incredibly sharp in the game, especially in the first half, and that helped lead North Dakota State to a 31-7 lead at halftime. Payton threw for about 240, rushed for almost 140, scored 4 rushing touchdowns. Do you feel like Mr. Payton solidified, or at least leapt to the front of the line when it comes to the Walter Payton Award race with that performance on Saturday night?
Probably. I feel like he was maybe already at the front of the pack. There's 50 some voters for it, and not everyone reveals like who they're leaning toward or who they're voting for. But a lot of the people that I've at least seen talk about it who have a vote, it seems like most of them would vote for Cole Payton. And that was before this last week's game, and I feel like he just maybe put an exclamation point on top of that. There will be some other guys that will definitely have consideration. Michael Wortham. I think. Maybe I know I talked about it on my podcast. Maybe we talked about it on your show about like Gilman, Ayat, Wortham. Like where exactly do you want to go if you're Montana and kind of promoting the guy for the Walter Payton Award? But one of those guys will probably be in the mix. Derek Robertson from Monmouth, he's going to miss some time with a shoulder injury. But there's also Tron Dickens, Western Carolina quarterback, who's putting up monstrous numbers. Jerry Kaminsky from UND is putting up great numbers. You also have Bo Brungard from Youngstown State is going to be in that mix as well. So there's a lot of really good candidates, but it seems like the level of play that Cole Payton is playing with, it seems like he has kind of emerged as the front runner.
On the South Dakota State side of this, how do you react? I mean, it's obviously Chase Mason out, but that doesn't explain the whole deal, because I thought North Dakota State did whatever they wanted, especially in the first half. I mean, they moved the ball at will. It was a very authoritative performance by North Dakota State. I think that's what stunned so many people that had not watched them yet this year. And certainly I saw South Dakota State live and in person in week 2, and I thought that they were good. Certainly I thought they had some really strong points to their team, particularly up front defensively and in the defensive secondary. And I thought that their run game was decent. But this looked like a complete mismatch in a lot of different ways. So again, Chase Mason, the quarterback for South Dakota State, out, but I don't know if that's the full story here. I don't know if you can, if that's the full explanation for why this looked like such a lopsided and dominant affair in North Dakota State's favor. What did you make of the South Dakota State side of this football game?
Yeah, they just came out really flat, which you wouldn't expect considering, they were playing in front of a record crowd, and it was an opportunity to get what would have been, considered a pretty big upset. And, that's why, I don't know, it's hard to really know for sure, but it seems like the Chase Mason injury just kind of took the wind out of the sails, quite a bit. And, I'm just talking, from a mental side of things, because again, Bison fans might misread or mishear what I'm saying. I'm not saying Chase Mason would have been the difference as far as the win or loss, in this game. I still think NDSU would have won, but him not being out there, it kind of just felt like it took the winds, out of the sails. And the Jackrabbits, probably would have had to play their best defensive game in quite some time, and they arguably played their worst defensive game in quite some time. They were pretty decent at times on first and second down, but I mean they would put NDSU in 3rd and 9 and 3rd and 12 situations, and the Bison would pick those up with rather ease, at times. And so you felt like South Dakota State would have had to lean on their defense, and their defense just didn't come, ready to play, I felt. So, the Jacks have a lot of injuries right now that they're dealing with, not only Chase Mason, but Chase Van Tol, who's probably their most talented defensive player. Lofton Ogrowski, who, Montana State fans sure remember Lofton Ogrowski, the wide receiver. He's also going to miss some time with an injury. So they're beat up right now. I do expect Chase Mason to be back at some point. But they're going to need them to come back, pretty quickly, because they have, Indiana State they should win this weekend, but then they go to South Dakota, who's down, but that's a rivalry game. And then they have 2 ranked opponents in the last 2 games of the year versus Illinois State, and then at UND. And Chase Mason is definitely a huge difference maker for this team.
Sam Herder inside the FCS, probably presented by Paradise Falls of Missoula. Paradise Falls, great place to watch college football, no matter when it's on. There's another Friday night Big Sky Conference game between Idaho and Northern Arizona coming up on Halloween evening. can't think of a better place to watch it than Paradise Falls. They got 20 big screen TVs, 18 draft beers, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Check them out on Brook Street, Paradise Falls, Missoula's coolest hotspot. So how much does this change your opinion of both North Dakota State and South Dakota State after this result, Sam?
Yeah, NDSU, I wasn't ready to do the whole NDSU versus the field conversation, even though some people were starting to talk about that, especially after the Bison, dominated Southern Illinois in the second half of that game. And, they beat Illinois State on the road by a couple of scores. And, South Dakota was ranked at the time when NDSU played them, and NDSU, absolutely beat them down. But I was still kind of like, well, they have to go to South Dakota State. They still have to go to UND, and so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. But after seeing, what NDSU's offense did to South Dakota State's defense, which I still think is one of the better defensive units in the FCS, it does kind of seem like we are in that, NDSU versus the field type of conversation, which isn't ideal for the FCS, obviously. The 2024 season was much more fun than the 2023 season, because the 2023 season, people were crowning South Dakota State the national champion, back in August. Whereas last year it was like Montana State's really good, and South Dakota State's really good, and NDSU's really good, and maybe South Dakota can maybe challenge for a title. And so you don't really want to have the situation where it's Team A versus the field. You would like to have, even 3 teams good enough to win a national title. Like, that's not a lot of teams in the 128 team FCS subdivision, but you would like to have multiple contenders. So I don't think it's necessarily an ideal situation for the FCS, but NDSU still has to go to UND, and that's going to be a really tough matchup. Just with how they played so far today, it does seem like the Bison are kind of the heavy favorites right now to win it all.
When it comes to then what went down on Friday in Sacramento, Montana, a 49-35 win over Sac State, certainly one that drew a lot of eyes, not only because of the timing and the national TV exposure, but also the fact that there was so much bluster leading up to the matchup. Did that change or influence your opinion on the Grizz after having a pretty dominant road victory?
A little bit, in more of a positive sense than a negative sense, because I did feel like if the Grizz were going to trip up before the Brawl of the Wild, like going to Sac State would probably be the most likely scenario. I didn't think that was going to happen at all. I think I picked Montana to win by 10, or actually I think I picked Montana to win by 14 points. And so I hit it there, but you felt like maybe if there was going to be a spot where they trip up, it could be at Sac State, but to go on the road, and it felt like a more decisive win than, a 14-point victory. Like, there was a couple more touchdowns at the end there that, probably didn't, need to happen, but, maybe both teams maybe trying to make a point in the final 2 minutes there, which is fine. But I still thought like a good road victory. Defensively there's concerns for Montana a little bit there, but, some of it was like one of those deep touchdown throws that Sac State had. I'm pretty sure the defender just fell down in man-on-man coverage. Like, how often is that going to happen? Not a whole lot, but a little bit of concern as far as just the explosive plays that Montana has given up. But, I felt like the offensive line played better. Like, they got a decent push. And to me, it seems like maybe there is a little bit of inconsistency with Montana, but when they're rolling, they're really tough to slow down, because you can take away someone on the outside, but then you have to deal with Gilman, or if you load the box, then you have Davis on the outside, and obviously Wortham on the outside, and it seems like sometimes when Montana, like if they hit like a 20-yard play, then they go hurry up and they put Wortham in the wildcat formation, like they can just come at you at waves. And I think when Montana is playing like that, they're I don't know if they're as good as NDSU, but they could probably compete really well with NDSU when they're playing like that. But then there are other times when they kind of have that lull for a quarter, and you go, well, you can't really have any of these moments if you're going to be playing South Dakota State or North Dakota State, because that's when those type of teams really jump on you.
Yeah, that's like the proxy of and the challenge of analyzing all this stuff, right? Is that North Dakota State set this standard, and it's always been anchored by the trenches and the unbelievable offensive and defensive line play that NDSU's gotten, particularly on the offensive line. And there's always been this narrative that you have to be able to match them in that form. And South Dakota State did. They built it up. I mean, I was thinking that watching Sunday Night Football the other night with Mason McCormick. He's a starting offensive guard for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's a really good NFL player. I was watching him intently, and he's a top level, top line type of starting guy right now for one of the most prominent franchises in the National Football League. So they certainly had some prowess up front. South Dakota State did, and that was one of the factors that helped them sort of get over the top. But they had other factors that did as well. But I have started to wonder over all of these years covering the FCS and just seeing the same movie play out over and over and over again, if maybe it's actually a fool's errand to try to match NDSU at what very few college football programs in the country could match them at, FCS or FBS or anybody. I mean, they have to have one of the top, 30 offensive line traditions and anywhere in college football, maybe more. I mean, they got like 6 or 7 guys that are starting in the league right now. So it's hard to match that, especially if you're an FCS team. So I wonder actually if the way to climb the mountain and slay Goliath is actually to go a different fashion. And I wonder if both Montana and Montana State are sort of going in a different fashion to sort of try to chase this Goliath that NDSU has become. What do you think? I mean, is it a fool's errand to try to live up to what North Dakota State has been, especially with what their strengths have been, since those strengths seem to continue to maintain their dominance across the subdivision?
It's definitely a balance there, because you still have to be, obviously physical, in the trenches, and you have to be able to run the ball. But you can be a physical running game, and you don't have to line up in 22 personnel and try to run 8-gap power to try to beat, a team like NDSU or a team like, South Dakota State, back in the day. The type of offenses that have given NDSU trouble would be like James Madison, right? They spread you out. They would go 4 wide receivers, 3 wide receivers. But they would still have a really physical offensive line, and they would still try to establish the run. Like, you can establish the run while still having like a spread type look. UIW kind of did the same thing a few years ago in the 2022 semifinals, where you spread NDSU's defense out, you lighten the box, you have a physical offensive line so you can run the ball. And then when, the linebackers start creeping closer to the line of scrimmage, then you got, 3-4 explosive wide receivers. And so you kind of come at them, at waves. The problem with a team like UIW was, while they were really good offensively, their defense just couldn't hold up. And NDSU kind of just grinded them down. And so you kind of have to have that balance of still being a physical football team and matching up with a program like NDSU in the trenches. But you also have to, be able to be balanced and hit on explosive plays and spread the defense out. And it seems like, Montana State, for example, they have really changed, thematically how they look offensively, and they're throwing the ball, a bit more. And I do feel like maybe they're not as explosive or good offensively as last year, but at the same time, they might be better offensively, just, in a different way. And I feel like that the offensive attack that Montana State has this year is maybe more conducive to beating NDSU compared to the offense they had last year, which was a bit more run heavy.
It's such an interesting analysis, right? Sam Herder, Hero Sports, joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television and the ESPN MT app. You can find all Sam's fine work at herosports.com. The other dynamic I wanted to ask you about, it just sort of the national narratives and the national hype machine around some of these teams, because I think we've pretty well established that there's basically like 5 teams right now that are driving the train, and then there's just a couple others that are still sort of in the mix. And I do think South Dakota State getting whooped like that certainly makes them maybe move to the second train car. They're not in the front engine anymore. But North Dakota State's certainly the ones sitting in the captain's seat. Montana is trying their best to be right there. Tarleton State is the new kid on the block, so they're getting a lot of talk because people that don't know are wondering, like, where's this team at? Where are they from? What's their deal? How are they being able to build this power pretty quickly? And then, South Dakota State, again, they lose, and so they take maybe a step back into that second car. I think that probably UC Davis and North Dakota sit in that second car as well. But then Montana State is the one that is just right there. And I think this is an interesting deal. I don't know if your perception is the same as mine since you don't live in Montana, Sam. But to me, the Grizz are getting so much hype right now because they are the ones with the 0 in the loss column. You can say strength of schedule this or, all the home games, all these different factors that have got into that. But on the other hand, Montana State, they dropped their first 2, and it almost like removed them from the pressure of the hype. I think people still thought they were certainly a contender to be, a playoff seed, et cetera, but they're not quite either of these, right? They're not NDSU or the new kid on the block at Tarleton or Montana trying to maintain the momentum of an undefeated mark, but they're also, I think, definitively better than and ahead of certainly North Dakota and probably UC Davis. We'll find out more because Davis and Montana State do play in a couple weeks. And then I think South Dakota State was sort of perceived as better than Montana State because they won in Bozeman. So how can you not think that? But now it seems like the perception is maybe that they're on par with or even behind Montana State. So what do you think of just the spot right now within the national conversation that Montana State occupies?
Yeah, it kind of seems like Montana State is a sneaky contender right now, which you wouldn't really expect to use that phrasing, considering they played in the championship game last year and they came in with a top 2 rankings. But I moved Montana State ahead of South Dakota State in my rankings this week, and I got some pushback from that from South Dakota State fans, obviously, because it's still like you're overreacting to one loss, and we're still 7-1 with 3 ranked wins, including the head-to-head over Montana State. And I kind of said, like, if you're seeding teams for the playoffs right now, then yeah, I do think you would have to put South Dakota State ahead of Montana State because of the overall resume and the head-to-head. But I'm also ranking based off of like who I think are the best teams right now. And from what I've seen, again, from afar, I was there for the South Dakota State game, but all the other Montana State games I've watched, I've obviously been on the TV copy, but it seems like they're clicking, much better offensively, much more comfortable, healthier on the offensive line as well. So that has gelled there. And so to me, Montana State is playing so much better now. The Montana State is compared to week 2 against South Dakota State. And that was a coin flip game. Meanwhile, South Dakota State, even before this weekend, there was still kind of some up and downs and high marks and low marks for South Dakota State. Is their defense would look good one week and then they'd give up a lot of explosive plays the next week. And against Youngstown State, they would dominate in the run game, but against other teams, they couldn't get the ground game going. Meanwhile, I felt like South Dakota State was getting better pretty much every week. I know this last weekend, the Cal Poly made it a bit more interesting than maybe it could have been, but I just feel like Montana State, it continues to peak, whereas a team like South Dakota State is kind of hitting the peaks and valleys. And so that's why I moved Montana State ahead. And, it was interesting. I know Mike McFeely out of Fargo covers the Bison, obviously. He did a column about, like, who is the number 2 team, in the country. And he said he thinks it's Montana State. And so that's the perspective, out of Fargo as well, that, maybe it's Montana State that's kind of quietly the top contender to NDSU. And I think, obviously we'll find that out, in a handful of weeks here when, there's a couple of back-to-back ranked opponents for the Cats to end the regular season.
I think last year Montana State had to balance the dynamic of just beating teams down. I mean, they had that 10-game stretch where they were basically up 35 or 42 points, like early in the second half, playing their backups, and that was like the sort of crescendo of the winning streak, and then they carried it into the playoffs. But it was almost like, we can't talk about yesterday, we can't talk about tomorrow, we can only talk about today. But it seems now, talking to Brett Vigen lately, especially the last couple weeks, basically since the Mercyhurst game, really, that he knows that the nation is talking about a lot of other teams, and his team does not have a lot of pressure on them, even though they are the defending Big Sky champs, even though they are the runners up in nationally 2 of the last 4 years. And he's using it sort of as a way to challenge his team and say, hey, this part wasn't good enough. That part wasn't good enough. We need to be better here. We need to play to this standard. It's just a really interesting evolution, because last year was almost like they were walking on pins and needles, even though they were so dang good, because they didn't want to, like, jinx it. You're undefeated. You don't want to jinx the undefeated thing. Bobby Houck does this all the time, right? He's always talking about the here and now, never tomorrow, never yesterday, only today. That's what we got to focus on. Respect your opponent, et cetera, et cetera. Montana State, now that they seem like it's almost freeing for them as a program to be in this situation, and I actually think that makes them as dangerous as anybody.
Yeah, I wonder too if it maybe. I mean, I think you're right as far as like having that, not feeling the pressure and not being as tight a little bit, and I wonder if last year, not only throughout the season but also just how they started that national championship game, where it kind of felt like they were, not timid, but also, but not like tight, I guess is maybe the best word for it, because they entered that game the favorites, and most people were picking Montana State to win that game, and you almost felt like that pressure maybe was in the back of their mind to at least start the game, and I felt like Montana State was the best team last year. They just weren't the best team on that day, and obviously the first half played a big part of that. So I also wonder too if like maybe the kind of the mental side of sports, like maybe they analyze how they handled last year, and also some big moments in some big games, and you couple that too with like maybe the expectations aren't as high from from the outside, where everyone is talking about NDSU, and they were talking about South Dakota State for a bit because they beat Montana State, and now Montana's back on the rise, and Tarleton State is a really intriguing team because they have the money and the facilities and all that flashiness, but they're also backing it up on the field. Meanwhile, like I said, Montana State is kind of that quiet contender right now in the FCS.
Sam Herter, who joins us each week here on Wednesdays on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. You can find his fine work, HeroSports.com, or on the various social media channels. And Sam, we appreciate you for joining us once again. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Inside the FCS, probably presented by Paradise Falls of Missoula. Paradise Falls, great place to go watch college football in Paradise. They have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so it's perfect for a college football Saturday. Go have yourself some brunch. Maybe go have yourself some lunch. Have yourself a little appetizer for an early happy hour. Whatever tickles your fancy. Check out Paradise Falls on Brook Street in Missoula, 3621 Brooks. Paradise Falls, Missoula's coolest hotspot. Come back, keep on talking FCS. Speaking of the Bobcats, how about a former Montana Gatorade Player of the Year, Talon Marsh, a Helena Capital product, will join us next. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Attention Grizz hockey fans, single game tickets are now on sale at grizzhockey.com. Don't miss your chance to secure the best seats for every exciting home game. This year, we're taking the fan experience to the next level. From music and a live pregame show in the parking lot to a professional DJ and MC energizing the crowd inside the arena. Enjoy new intermission games in the best bar in Missoula, all while cheering on the most talented Grizz hockey team yet. Tickets are waiting. Head to grizzhockey.com today. Grizz Hockey, where the action begins.
What do Missoulians do best? They support their local stores. Come support your local pharmacy at Palmer's Drug. Palmer's Drug is a retail and compounding pharmacy that is the alternative to big box chain pharmacies. You can expect short wait times, free medication shipping, and friendly service at Palmer's Drug. Located at 918 Southwest Higgins in Missoula, Palmer's Drug is the most convenient way to get your prescriptions in the Garden City. Come in and discover how they can serve your pharmacy needs.
Elevated Tax and Accounting is not your average accounting firm.
A lot of firms don't offer tax planning. You bring in your documents at the beginning of the tax year. We're in 2025. We're doing 2024 returns. Everybody brings in their stuff. And now it's too late for tax planning. There's all sorts of deductions or credits that could be left on the table because nobody took the time during the year to figure out whether or not those things are going to be available for that specific client. So tax planning is one of those things that we offer that's extra, that helps our clients out quite a bit.
To learn more, visit elevatedtax.com.
This fall, the Montana Club is serving up comfort the Montana way. Start with the club's hearty porterhouse pork chop paired perfectly with sweet potato casserole. Or dig into the hand-breaded chicken thighs topped with a rich sage peppercorn country gravy. Craving cozy? Nothing beats the Montana Club's golden crusted chicken pot pie, and that's just the beginning. Experience that full fall flavor at an incredible value at the Montana Club and MontanaClub.com on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
It's hard to admit, but the bad weather is around the corner. Sooner than later, the roads are going to be covered in sludge and slush, and you don't want that on your car. Instead, you want to treat your car like it deserves to be treated at Dazzler's Car Wash of Missoula. And to do that on a consistent basis at the most thorough car wash in the Garden City, you need to get yourself an unlimited package so you can get your car washed a few times a month. Starting at just $34 monthly, get an unlimited package from Dazzler's Car Wash. Treat your car like it deserves to be treated with unlimited memberships at Dazzler's Car Wash of Missoula.
Join the American Indian Women's Book Club, hosted by All Nations Health Center. If you're looking for a welcoming, culturally grounded space to connect with other Native women, come share stories, explore powerful Indigenous literature, and build a community together at the American Indian Women's Book Club, hosted by All Nations Health Center. The next book club meeting is November 11th at 1519 South Russell in Missoula at 5:30 p.m. Each gathering includes a potluck dinner, book discussion, and a craft activity or writing exercise. Visit All Nations Health Center on Facebook for more info and to register.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
For the first time since 2022, the Hellgate Knights boys soccer team are headed back to the Class AA state title game. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Hellgate's soccer dynasty is one of the most impressive in Montana high school sports. The Knights won an incredible 8 state titles between 2011 and 2022, including 7 out of 8 beginning in 2015. But Hellgate was eliminated in the semifinals of the state playoffs in 2023 and 2024. On Tuesday, the Knights earned a 1-0 win over Helena Capital to avenge their only loss of the regular season to advance to the AA state title game Saturday in Bozeman against Gallatin. The Raptors beat Sentinel and then pounded Glacier to get a shot at their first Class AA state title. On the girls' side of the Class AA playoffs, Bozeman Gallatin left no doubt in a semifinal rematch of last year's state title tilt. Last fall, Bozeman High beat the Raptors 2-0 for their second straight state title, but Tuesday, Gallatin pumped the Hawks 8-1 to earn a trip back to the title match. The Raptors will take on Billings Senior. The Bronx won 3-0 over crosstown rival Billings West Tuesday. In Class A girls soccer, Columbia Falls cruised past Lone Peak and will play for their first state title since 2004. The Wildcats await the winner of Livingston and Big Fork. And in Class A boys, Polson will take on Whitefish. The Pirates are trying to win their first state title, while the Bulldogs have won 10 previous state titles, including 5 of the last 7. For updates on all high school sports postseasons, tune into 102.9 ESPN Radio.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Anything when I have nothing to say, my lips are steel. Say something once, why say it again? Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Fa 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 fa. Better run, 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 run away.
Welcome back. 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Grizzly Disposal has any and all of your waste management needs covered. You'd like to give them a shot at what local waste management can do for you, visit grizzlydisposal.com or call 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned and veteran-owned, the only bears that should be in your garbage. Grizz Star of the Week coming up here in about an hour. Let's check in with what's going on in Bozeman. It's our Montana State Minute, probably presented by the Bobcat Collective. Montana State Minute back for another week. Check it in now with the Bobcat defensive line as a former Montana Gatorade Player of the Year, Talon Marsh, a Helena Capital product who's now worked his way into the rotation there on the Bobcat defensive front, joins us. Talon, thanks for being here, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
It's been a little while since we talked. You were basically on your way out of Helena Capital, on your way to Montana State when the last time you came on the show here. So take me through it. What's it been like these last couple of years, sort of cutting your teeth and putting in your time and now getting some real playing time there on the Bobcat D-line?
Yeah, I mean, first you get here and you got to really learn from the older guys, and then slowly you'll start to pick it up, and feel like that's what I've been doing. A lot of younger guys have been doing it too, like Hunter Sharpman has been really stepping up in that also.
Going through it with some of those other younger guys and sort of making your way, does that help you, just having guys that are sort of going through a similar experience?
Yeah, it's super good because they're making mistakes that you're also going to make. And, I mean, you talk about it and then you can figure it out better. So you guys can move forward faster.
Well, certainly the defense as a whole has been playing great. Let's start with Saturday, though. You guys had Cal Poly completely shut down for the first 3 quarters. Then they got going a little bit, scored a couple touchdowns, but then you sort of slammed the door on them. So just take me through what was so successful the first 3 quarters, and then how were you guys able to sort of finish that game on Saturday in San Luis Obispo?
Yeah, Coach Howe wanted us to start fast, so that's what our mindset was going in. So that's what we did, and then throughout the whole game, we just know that we got to play for one another. So that's why we play so hard, and our motto is swarm, so we're all running the ball always. So I think that has a good reason on why. And then obviously the great coaching that we all get at every position.
Well, certainly that's coming through. When it comes to just the transitions that the defense has gotten under a new coordinator, it's probably easier for you guys as defensive linemen, being that Sean Howe was your position coach for the last couple of years. So how do you think that has gone, and how would you just describe the defense under Coach Howe's direction this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful. I mean, we, as the D-line, I mean, we speak his language really easy, obviously, because he's been our D-line coach, and now that he's obviously the D coordinator, I mean, he puts us on plays now, and I mean, it's really nice to have him around.
Such a fiery guy, too. So, I mean, obviously you guys are used to his sort of inspirational style, but how much do you think that's impacted just the rest of the defense so far this year?
Oh, for sure. When you have a fearless leader like that leading up from the top and then going down from like Paul to Kenny to everyone else, I mean, it really helps out a defense and makes us all really motivated to do our best every single play.
Talon Marsh, Montana State defensive tackle, joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. You mentioned some of those senior leaders. Let's go through each of them and just tell me what you've learned from each of them. Start with Paul Brott. He's a guy that's certainly earned the right to wear that number 41 jersey. What sort of things? What sort of example has he set for you as a younger defensive tackle?
Yeah, so when I got to Bozeman, one of the first people that reached out to me was Paul, and ever since then he's been helping me out so much. He's really what the standard is around here, and obviously he's got 41, so that's a testament to him because he always puts in the work and always does his best to lead and do everything he can to help us all out.
So many people have mentioned to me over the last, however many months since the season started that he has sort of set the tone, and multiple people have said he's the hardest worker I've ever seen. How does he sort of put that on display, and how much does that part influence you guys, just the work ethic he brings every day?
I mean, a lot of people that don't know Paul quite as well as we do just think it's like lifting and stuff, but if you watch Paul and his nutrition, his stretching, every aspect of his game is just trying to be the best at everything he can be. That's what I really think that separates Paul, is how the little things that you wouldn't even think about, how he's doing to the best of his ability every day.
Kenneth Iden, obviously well earned as a captain as well. I know he's a guy that loves Bobcat football as much as anybody, being a multiple generation type of guy. So how would you just describe his leadership style? How does he set the tone for the defense?
Yeah, I mean, Kenny's right up there with Paul. I mean, comes in here and shows all of us what the standard is and what we need to do, and he works tremendously hard also. I mean, coming from Montana, knowing both him and Paul, I mean, when I was younger in high school, I mean, they were the standard in high school, and now that I'm here in Bozeman, even getting to know them, you can see how elevated they've gotten to be where they are now.
Yeah, no doubt. How about Alec Eckert? What do you think he brings to the defensive front?
Well, Alec transferred here, so right when he got here, he made an impact, I think. He got really close with a bunch of the guys. I mean, he really fits in with our group very well. And he brings a lot to the table. I mean, obviously seeing where he's at in his position, I mean, he works super hard also. I mean, all three of those guys are just tremendously hard workers, and you can see that it pays off every Saturday we play.
Yes, I was teasing Eckert. I said, hey, Lewiston, Montana, or Lewiston, Idaho, but that's almost like Montana. So you're like an honorary Montanan. You can claim it if you want.
Maybe.
Maybe. Gotta love it. And last one I want to ask about is Hunter Parsons, because I just think that's such a great story. A guy that's just sort of waited his turn and now having an all-conference type of senior year. So that must have an influence on you younger guys, just knowing that if you put in the work and have patience, that your time will come.
Yeah, for sure. Hunter works so hard too, and I mean, obviously with Brody last year, he still got his reps, but it wasn't always about him, but he obviously put his head down and worked so tremendously hard, and you can obviously tell. I mean, are you not entertained? Like, come on. Like, he is also just the standard for all of us, including just the whole defense.
Well, definitely cool for you guys to have such a quartet of great senior leaders to sort of lead the way for you. Talon Marsh joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. Now turning the page, another road trip to northern Colorado. Before we talk about UNC, now it's November. Now the stretch run is here. So does that affect your cumulative mentality as a defense and as a football team?
No, I think we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. I mean, 1-0 every day. I mean, just swarming to the ball, just trying our best every single play to get better.
No doubt. I know as we talk here on Monday, you probably have just started looking at Northern Colorado, but what do you think of just the challenges of going to Greeley and playing a much improved Bears squad?
I mean, yeah, I've never been there, but from what I've heard is, I mean, they're a tough group, so they're going to give us their best shot, and we're going to give them ours. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with that.
Anything that you hope you guys can make strides on, just as a group and as a defense going into this game?
I don't think so. I think if we just keep doing what we're doing, playing for one another, will be just fine.
Well, very good. Dallin, good catching up with you, man. Appreciate you for being here, and best of luck with another road trip. But we'll catch up down the road, but thanks for being here today.
All right, thank you so much.
Montana State Minute, probably presented by the Bobcat Collective. You want to help support Montana State's NIL efforts, visit BobcatCollective.com. Go back, talk some World Series with Jeff Safford next. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Fundraising is not always a popular word. Then you throw in some parents who don't really know how to do it, and it can become stressful. Vertical Raise can implement hands-on with any high school sports team to help maximize your fundraising efforts. Peter Hamill is an expert in making the process easy and ensuring your team gets the biggest check possible, so your season can go smoothly. Vertical Raise can help provide opportunities for family and friends of your kids to support them from afar. Not everyone can come watch a game, but plenty can contribute to a great cause. To find out how Vertical Raise can help your organization raise money, visit verticalraise.com.
Fall is here, Missoula, and that chill in the air means it's Grizz game day season. Stay warm and show your pride with cozy Grizz gear and vintage logo wear at the Paddleheads Post, downtown Missoula on 140 North Higgins. Whether you're heading to the stadium or just wearing your team spirit around town, they've got you covered with a variety of sweatshirts, jackets, and all the fall fan favorites you need. Stop in this fall and gear up for game day at the Paddleheads Post in downtown Missoula.
Grizzly Disposal is proud to be a locally owned and operated business in Montana. They don't offer any gimmicks or special rates because they don't have to. Their service speaks for itself. With no surprises on your bills, no rate increases, and local staff handling everything from your phone calls to your garbage disposal. Call 541-7171 to switch your service and see for yourself. Visit grizzlydisposal.com for more info on residential and commercial service. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage.
Senior Medicare Patrols empower and assist Medicare beneficiaries, their families, and caregivers to prevent, detect, and report healthcare fraud, errors, and abuse through outreach and education. In Montana, Senior Medicare Patrol is operated by Missoula Aging Services in cooperation with area agencies on aging across Montana. To contact your closest office, call 800-551-3191. This project is supported by a grant by the Administration for Community Living.
Colter Nuanez from ESPN Montana here, and I can't tell you how much high-speed fiber internet from Blackfoot Communications has improved my life. It might sound simple, but having lightning-fast upload speeds lets me record video calls in 4K to use on our Nuanez Now radio and television show. It also allows us to produce content with world-class efficiency, and I can work from home even if my wife is streaming her HD TV. If you want to experience the fastest internet speeds possible, you need fiber internet from Blackfoot. Find out more about fiber in your area by visiting blackfoot.com. Red's Bar is a beloved institution in downtown Missoula. Whether you want to watch a game, enjoy a cold beer, spend time with friendly faces, or simply wind down, the welcoming atmosphere and wonderful staff at Red's will make you feel right at home. Red's features 14 HD TVs and 2 full-service bars. Stop by and grab a beer with friends while you watch your favorite team play and check out the extensive collection of awesome sports memorabilia. Red's Bar in downtown Missoula, the friendliest sports bar in town.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
The Sacramento State saga continues. I know the game between Montana and the Hornets is already in the books, but there was 11 penalties called on Sacramento State on Friday night. And then Brendan Marion, in his weekly meeting with the press yesterday, Sacramento State's head coach, he went crazy. And he basically said that we are the most penalized team in college football because the Big Sky Conference has a vendetta against us because our president called it the JV level. And then he went on to say that it's unfair to my team to be deemed as undisciplined and that most of the penalties I think we've been called for are unjust. This is all crying over spilt milk and just false. I mean, Sac State got called for 11 penalties on Friday night. I distinctly remember them lining up offsides 3 times. So, yeah, 3 out of the 11 that are just straight up you not having any discipline. So to say your team's undisciplined, that is not a false statement. Anyways, Brendan Marion, for his comments yesterday, got the hammer today from Big Sky Conference Commissioner Tom Wistershill. Wistershill fined Brendan Marion. I've never seen this before in the league. I've seen suspensions and reprimanding, never seen a fine. Big Sky Conference fined Brendan Marion for violating the Big Sky sportsmanship policy, $10,000. It's no small amount. And he has been informed that a repeat of such behavior will result in a much more severe penalty, including a suspension. Wistershill said, I want to make it abundantly clear that publicly questioning the integrity of our officials and the conference office will not be tolerated. Professionalism, integrity, and fairness are the foundation of who we are in the Big Sky Conference, and all institutional personnel must recognize the responsibilities they carry as examples for our student athletes, campus communities, and the league. The Big Sky will not comment further on this matter. Wow, the drama. Anyways, Jeff Saver's in studio to talk baseball with us. What do you make of this craziness that's coming out of Sacramento State? You're a California guy, but the Sac State's really never been on your radar much, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's been something that you really have alluded to quite a bit in thinking about just the overall coverage of Sacramento State in general, thinking about just the lack thereof with all of the other larger college brands that are already saturating that market, thinking the Stanford Cardinal or California Golden Bears. I mean, heck, even the San Jose State Spartans may have taken a higher step above where the Hornets are. But it will be interesting to see as more money and things come into the program. I think it's fun that they have the tie-in with Mike Bibby being so synonymous with that city, with his run with the Sacramento Kings. It'll be fun to see what they do in Big Sky Hoops for sure.
Definitely, and it'll also be an interesting phenomenon when they're not in the Big Sky Conference anymore. And I think there's a lot of people internally, at least, that are counting down the days until that happens. The World Series is sort of inexplicably tied 2-2. I thought the Dodgers were going to absolutely roll in this thing. I thought this thing was going to basically be over like now. Like I thought tonight would be the day that it ended. I thought this was going to be Dodgers in 5, and that's not the case. The Dodgers won in thrilling fashion on Monday night. Jeff's one of the only people I know that actually managed to stay up all the way until the 18th inning and Freddie Freeman's home run. But then the Blue Jays bounced back big time yesterday for a huge win in L.A., even with Shohei Ohtani on the mound. So what do you make of this, the fact that we actually have a real World Series going on here? Does it surprise you as much as it surprises me?
Well, I actually was talking about this off mic with Hayden Smith behind the glass and kind of equating it, thinking about hockey this weekend. In the world of hockey, a lot of times I've noticed that it seems like from a mental standpoint that hockey guys, when they suffer a tough loss like that they actually are able to kind of turn it around and kind of use that to galvanize their effort the next day. It actually makes an opponent tougher to beat the next day after you see a sequence like that. And I think, obviously, the Blue Jays were able to rally up a lot of momentum and to get the swing they did from Vlad Guerrero Jr. early in that game, yes, I think that was massive for them. They're trailing early in the game. Guerrero Jr. gets a fastball up from Ohtani. It kind of does two things. A, it fires you up, gets your bench going, you take the lead. And B, it kind of puts a little chink in the armor of the boogeyman, a guy that was seemingly untouchable in Ohtani, who had the 10 strikeout game, 6 innings. He's coming off a night where he reached base 9 times. That's absurd. Michael Bublé was probably the happiest guy because you're feeling good about 15 times over the last 2 days with his walkout song. That and Freddie Freeman's. I don't even know what his is. That kind of EDM-y thing that his kids pick out for him, because of course that's Mr. Wholesome Freddie Freeman. His kids pick his walkout music, of course.
It is so true that I was cooking dinner last night. I had the game on, but my wife's playing with our son, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, Vlad just hit a home run off Ohtani. I said, say it again. She said, Vladimir Guerrero just hit a home run off Ohtani. I said, no, that can't happen. But Ohtani's God. He's not a mere mortal. But you're right. I thought that swung the game so much. And that's the thing. I mean, you mentioned the toughness of the Blue Jays. How much do you think that's contributed to their ability to hang in this series? Because it has been, to me, an enormous factor. Because you see the Dodgers lineup. You see, they're the big bad wolf of Major League Baseball. I don't know if anybody in the history of the league has had a 1-2-3 that's Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman.
Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer.
I mean, it's crazy, right? But then you have the Blue Jays they're just battling, man. How much do you think just like the makeup of the team and the way John Snyder has been able to get these guys to get up for this has galvanized this team and helped them have a fighting chance in this series?
Absolutely, and I think you're seeing guys push through stuff. I think is proof of that as well. I mean, I mentioned Bo Bichette in the last time talking the beginning of this series, how he's pushing himself to play. And you watch him out there, and obviously he's not 100%. And he's out there DHing and at times has been taken off the bases because he struggles to move around. But just his ability to push through and know that his bat in the lineup is important and to be able to have that added element. And who knows? I know he's not in the lineup tonight, and looked at it about probably 20 minutes ago. The Blue Jays had not posted their official lineup. I'm sure they were waiting until the very last second on George Springer, who's been dealing with a nagging lower body injury, and he's out of the lineup again tonight. But who knows? I wouldn't be shocked at all if at some point a big spot comes up and all of a sudden here comes the bad man for the Blue Jays. I mean, he's not, if you're an LA guy, a Dodger fan, you do not want to see him coming up in a big spot. I mean, he's been that boogeyman before. I mean, thinking back to what he did in 2017 as a member of the Astros, taking them deep. I think, how many home runs? I think he had 4 or 5 home runs in that World Series, just time after time, and obviously the big swing in the ALCS. So it'll be interesting to see, and I mean, tonight's a real interesting pitching matchup as well. I'm specifically interested to see how we see Blake Snell do the lefty for LA. He was just nails in his first 2 starts.
Dominant.
And I mean, as dominant as you could imagine. And he gets hammered in game 1 out in Toronto. Will he be able to find that role once again, or will this very uber early in the count lineup, especially attacking a fastball, will they be able to do it again there at Dodger Stadium? I mean, the conditions definitely should work out that way. I think, let's see quickly, a forecasted temperature of 86 degrees at first pitch. That's going to be flying. That ball is going to be flying at Dodger Stadium. That opposite of what we saw 2 nights ago where fly balls dying on the warning track in center field. Those balls hit tonight are going to be way gone, alluding to a couple of balls the Dodgers hit in the extra innings where they thought it was over, but it got caught at the track. Those balls hit tonight, they're going out of the yard for sure. So it'll be interesting to see.
It definitely will. And Springer's status is going to be, I think, so important because the Blue Jays did get away with one last night, winning that game like they did, even with him on the shelf. That's the part that's so crazy about the Dodgers lineup in general, and also just the way that they've been able to assemble this one-of-a-kind team, is that it has totally overshadowed the Blue Jays, who are dang good. I mean, most teams would die to have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette and George Springer and on down the line, and yet those guys just pale in comparison because they're not Ohtani, because no one is Ohtani. But that's the other part, is that maybe we are just underrating the Blue Jays a little bit because the Dodgers are this juggernaut that, everybody has anointed these guys the World Series champions since the day after the World Series ended last year, too. Maybe we're just underrating the Blue Jays, and maybe this is going to be a series that goes all the way down the wire.
I mean, let's not forget here, during the regular season, this isn't a Blue Jays team that came out of nowhere like a Randy Orton RKO. I mean, it's a team that was dominant all season long, and a very, very good AL East, thinking about the the Yankees and the Red Sox, 2 playoff teams. Even the Orioles, who didn't have a great squad, I mean, still a team with a good amount of talent, even with a losing record. I mean, they got a lot of young guys there that had taken the team to the postseason, but you think about that, had the best record in baseball for a long chunk of it. So not a team that did pretty well through the postseason, got through a tough Mariners challenge, and But I think that's all adding up to a team that has confidence going in, and clearly they're just not afraid of the moment, taking on this monster of an LA team. And from my perspective, you're the Blue Jays. You're thinking, hey, we're going either way. We're going back to Toronto.
Right.
So that's big.
That's why last night was so big, is that now you're sort of playing with house money. Like, you don't want to drop tonight's game, but if you do, it's not the end of the world, but it would have been the end of the series if you drop last night's game. Right now it's a 3-game series, and we got 2 of them at our place. So at the end of the day, you just got to stem the tide a little bit and get back to Toronto. You already know it's going back to Toronto, and then you just have to win Game 6 to make sure that you're either clinching the series or extending the series.
And I was talking about this with Hayden Smith, too. I think that this game could also dictate a lot of what LA's plan is going to Toronto, because I would think if they are in a situation where Toronto wins tonight, LA's down 3-2 going to Toronto, I would think that they would have to use Yamamoto in a must-win scenario in a Game 6. But if LA wins tonight, I would think that they would save Yamamoto for Game 7 in a must-win spot. And I was talking about this with Hayden Smith, too, that my prediction would be, if it gets to that scenario, they'd have Yamamoto start and have Shohei back him up and have him pitch in like that somewhere between anywhere between innings 4 through 7, then have Shohei come in and then Sasaki take you home from the 7th anywhere to the 9th. And then that way they can avoid their bullpen that's been, other than Will Klein, or who the heck's Will Klein after 2 nights, other than, he was just crazy. He had pitched in, I think, 22 games in his major league career. And he goes out there and he shoves 4 innings, just absolutely spectacular baseball. But you're not going to get that again.
No doubt. Jeff Savard joining us here in studio. It is our Wing It Wednesday baseball style World Series. Need a place to watch the games tonight or moving forward? Head on down to the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill, located across the street from the YMCA on Russell Street in Missoula. They have the best wings you'll find anywhere in Western Montana. And we're giving you a chance to win some wings right now. Text us, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. And all texts will get you entered in to win a dozen wings. Not only are you going to win, but it gets you entered into win, and then we'll pick a winner. But text us, 406-888-1029. Wing It Wednesday, every Wednesday here on the presented by the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill on Nuanez Now. Hour 1 of the books, hour 2 coming at you. Talk some Grizz basketball on the other side. We'll hear from Money Williams, Travis DeCuire, and Tejan Sawyer. Mr. Safford, thank you so much for swinging by.
Sure thing.
Nuanez Now, back right after this, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Canby Tap House is well known around the Garden City for its peerless selection of draft beers. Breakfast at Canby is also worth a sterling reputation. From breakfast burritos to chicken fried steak to delicious daily specials, Canby Tap House has excellent breakfast for your weekend brunch appetite. Canby also has a full coffee bar offering bold and delicious espresso and other specialty coffee drinks. Canby Tap House is family friendly and conveniently located on Higgins, across from South Campus Stadium and Dorn Blazer Field. Come enjoy the best breakfast in town at Canby Tap House.
Going to the dentist doesn't have to be a memorable experience, and at Big Sky Smiles and Sedation, that's exactly the point. If the thought of dental work makes you anxious, they offer safe, effective sedation dentistry so you can relax while they restore your healthy, confident smile. From implants to cleanings, Big Sky Smiles and Sedation makes your comfort their priority. Big Sky Smiles and Sedation, because your visit should be easy to forget, but your smile should be unforgettable. Call Big Sky Smiles and Sedation today, 406-549-6222, or visit BigSkySmilesandSedation.com.
It's the Wayne Dalton End of Year Sale, where you can save up to $400 on a new garage door. Now through October, you can save on the most durable, stylish, and affordable garage doors. If you're looking to replace your garage door, now's the time. From classic charm to modern styles, Wayne Dalton Sales and Service has the perfect door to upgrade the look of your home. Call Wayne Dalton Sales and Service today, 406-510-1899, or visit wayne-dalton.com/Missoula and save up to $400 on your new garage door.
If you're in search of a trading card of your favorite player, or if your kids are, swing into Zootown Sports Cards. If there's a card of a player you're searching for, Zootown Sports Cards has the cards. With an almost endless collection of singles and inserts, whatever and whoever you're in the market for, Zootown Sports Cards has it. 1990s NBA stars, Zootown has it. 2000s football players, Zootown has it. And looking through the collection is half of the fun. Come check out all of what Zootown Sports Cards has to offer in the Stevens Center in Missoula.
You've got a debit card and phone app. Does a brick and mortar bank really matter? You bet your boots it does. Step inside any one of our Farmers State Bank's 10 unique locations. Open a new account, apply for a loan, rent a safety deposit box, or arrange for the trip of a lifetime. Personal service and attention to detail, along with all the mobile and electronic services you've come to rely on. Farmers State Bank, your Montana bank since 1907. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Hey, it's Colter Nuanez from your favorite daily sports talk show, Nuanez Now, and I want to buy you a meal on your birthday at Paradise Falls. If it's your birthday, head on over to Paradise Falls at 3621 Brook Street, and I will buy you a birthday entree. All you have to do is go into the family-friendly Missoula favorite, present your ID, and the entree is on me. Birthday meals courtesy of Nuanez Now at Paradise Falls, a family-friendly restaurant serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If it's your birthday, head over to Paradise Falls, Missoula's coolest hotspot.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275ES Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The Grizz and the Bobcats kept rolling as the calendar turns to the final month of the regular season this weekend. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Number 4, Montana, cranked its offense to yet another level thanks in part to Michael Wortham's continued candidacy for the Walter Payton Award. Friday night at Sac State, Wortham rolled up 238 all-purpose yards, including 89 yards rushing and 80 yards receiving. He scored 3 total touchdowns, including a pair of highlight reel plays that left Sac State stuck in the proverbial mud at Hornet Stadium. The Grizz turned a 21-21 tie into a 42-21 runaway, and Sac kept fighting, but the Grizz slammed the door, earning a 49-35 victory to remain undefeated at 8-0. Sac fell to 4-4. Montana State won its 6th straight game after taking Cal Poly's best shot in the 4th quarter. The Bobcats rolled to a 27-3 lead behind Julius Davis's career rushing day before the host Mustangs came storming back. Cal Poly scored 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns to cut the lead to 27-17 before the Bobcats slammed the door. Adam Jones scored a touchdown, his 8th of the season, and MSU won going away 34-17 for its 6th straight victory. Around the rest of the Big Sky Conference, UC Davis remained undefeated against FCS opponents with a 27-16 win at Northern Colorado. Eastern Washington won for the 3rd straight week, outlasting Weber State 23-20 in Ogden. Idaho snapped its 4-game losing streak by drilling winless Portland State 45-6, and Northern Arizona moved to 2-2 in league play with a 31-18 win over Idaho State in Pocatello.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
When the hold down with the 9-1 with the net to the blind with King Khan, nigga down there, give it here and don't say nothing, just give it here, and don't say nothing, say nothing, check with the blunt, don't back with the plan, let the thing, cut the check, give it here, don't say nothing, give it here, and don't say nothing. Home of the original gun clappers out on the wrong corner, you shoulda get spun backwards. You got the forewarning, the rules. Enter at risk of your own. Nana keep a gat under the mattress. Shorty's running reckless from Philly to Texas, surprising with.
Welcome back, 102.9 ESPN Radio. You're listening to Nuanez Now, coming to you live from the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal is your go-to when it comes to locally owned waste management. If you'd like to find out how Grizzly Disposal can help you with everything from your garbage to your recycling to construction roll-off boxes and everything in between, visit grizzlydisposal.com or call 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage. Missing in the show, fun show so far. Sam Herder, Hero Sports, talking all things NDSU South Dakota State, where the Grizz are at in the national championship contention realm. And is Montana State sort of lingering in the weeds? All of that and more in that fun conversation. We also heard from Talon Marsh, a Helena Capital product who is now a sophomore defensive lineman, former Gatorade Player of the Year from Helena Capital, who's at Montana State. We also talked to Jeff Safford about Major League Baseball, specifically the culmination of Major League Baseball in the World Series. All of it on the Nuanez Now podcast, probably presented by Elevated Tax, elevating you and your business with a modern professional touch. You like to save money on your taxes next year, visit elevatedtax.com. Keep those texts coming in. We're going to have a little elongated Wing It Wednesday here, so keep them coming in. If you want Wings of the Desperado, 406-888-1029. And all entries will get you entered in to win some wings from the Despo. So keep them coming in, 406-888-1029. The evolution of Grizz basketball has been fascinating. Certainly Missoula when the University of Montana first joined the Big Sky Conference, Montana was a basketball school. They have since built it up into being a football school, a couple national championships, and the palace of all palaces among FCS football stadiums will do that for you. But they have had as much success in men's basketball, first of all, as anybody in the Big Sky, and also among any of the sports teams that exist at the University of Montana. The Grizz, though, fell on hard times for a couple of years. Hard times is arbitrary because they certainly were still among the better teams in the conference during the weird times that were what I deem the COVID years. But it derailed their program in terms of how good they had been. The two teams that went to the NCAA tournament back-to-back between 2017 and 2019, those two teams, led by guys like Ahmad Rory and Michael Ogine and Saeed Pridgett, those are some of the best teams of any sport I've ever covered. Some of the most fun I've ever had covering teams, some of the most fun games to watch. Those guys were electric. They were drawing like 6,000 fans a game. They were super, super fun to watch. Then when the Big Sky tournament got called off in 2019 and Pridgett did not get to finish his career like I think many thought he could and should, the Grizz kind of got derailed after that, and they were sort of just stuck in the mud, and there was a lot of things that did not go their way. Well, they built it back up, and 2 years ago they were very good, but they lost in the Big Sky Championship game to Montana State. But you knew they were sort of knocking on the door. They had climbed their way back. Well, then last year they put it all together. They ran the table in the Big Sky Tournament. They were the regular season and Big Sky Tournament champions, and they went back to the NCAA Tournament. And Travis DeCuire proved that he could resurrect a program that had not necessarily fallen onto hard times, but certainly had taken a dip from the standard that he and the Grizz basketball program in general had wanted. Now the Grizz are back to being the front runners. They are picked to win the Big Sky Conference in men's basketball this year, and Money Williams is the preseason Big Sky Conference Player of the Year. We caught up with some Grizz guys because they have their first game coming up next Monday. We'll tell you more about that here in just a minute. But first, let's hear from the preseason Big Sky MVP, Grizz junior point guard, Money Williams.
Hi, Money. I guess we'll just start with just the excitement of the season being here and just, what that's like.
It feels good. I mean, we have 8 new guys. They've been into the culture. They love it here. And returners that came back, they love them too. So it should be an exciting season.
Yeah, what's that like for you? And there are so many new guys and kind of trying to get them integrated and then like how you're kind of taking on a different role.
I mean, it's something not new. Nothing new. Last year we had a new team. We succeeded tremendously. We went to the NCAA tournament. Looking forward to doing it this year with the team.
What did you learn from last year just in terms of coming together as a team? Because you guys did come together well, especially the second half of the season.
Just buying into the coaches, buying into the culture, trusting the coaching staffs, getting to know each other off the court, more so on the court. It's just been a lot of chemistry.
Money, for you when you got the preseason Player of the Year award, just what was that moment like? How did you find out, but then just what did that mean to you?
It felt good. I found out on Instagram. Montana Group Basketball posted it. I looked at it, was excited, but I got to go prove it now.
You guys, when you bring back like you and Tejan, like there is like a little bit of a core unit here. A couple guys who didn't play last year too. How do you guys maybe bring on some of the new guys and like take those roles? Like you said, it's nothing new, but how did you maybe approach it this time around?
Just telling them you're here for a reason. The coaches believe in you, we believe in you. Just buy into the culture and try your hardest. Nothing can beat effort, and that's what they get every day.
Feels like a target is always on Montana's back, but when you are preseason favorites, had made the NCAA tournament last year, just does it feel any different coming in this year, knowing that people really are going to be eyeing the group now?
Not really. We were a target last year. People think we're hunting, but we feel like we're the hunted. But we just go out there every day and try to put on the show for the fans, and that's what we're going to do this year.
Just going to the big dance last year, how much did that just inspire you to want to go back?
First year. So, always seen it on TV. Actually being there in reality, it felt great, and I can't wait to go back.
What was the main thing you were trying to work on and improve this offseason?
Just being a leader, having a lot of veterans last year, learning from him, especially Brandon Whitney. Just learning from him giving me game on how to be a good point guard, things like that.
You got a couple other guys now that can play on the ball, off the ball too. So how's that going? Just sort of learning how to play with each other.
It feels good to know that I can rely on somebody else, multiple people at that. Tejan Sawyer, the freshman, that would potentially probably be freshman of the year, Kenyon Nguine. Those guys, I could just rely on them and they can go make a play. That feels good.
just your offseason as a whole, because I think you did the Blazers thing, and then, you know, just in terms of working out, maybe getting bigger, stronger, like what was your offseason like from your perspective?
Just being more consistent, trying to polish my game, playing with the guys that play at a higher level, to see the levels of differency, just going out there having fun and learning.
What's been like kind of the reception from the community about, you know, coming back to Montana and giving it another year here, and how excited fans are to have you?
When I came back, people were surprised. I don't know why. You know, I'm a loyal guy. I love it here. It's a great community. I love the coaching staff. I love my teammates. This is where I want to be.
But you are it's kind of, you know, rare now that guys stay for, you know, 3+ years at a school. So like, was it always just, I'm coming back to Montana, I want to be here?
Well, like the question he said, I had workouts for Trailblazers in Houston. Why go somewhere else if I can do it here? You know, I'm already getting eyes here, so I might as well stay here.
Already getting his eyes here, so might as well stay here. Thought that was an interesting part of the interview. He said, hey, I'm a loyal guy, man. Hey, everybody thought I was going to leave. I'm not going anywhere. It's pretty cool, honestly. Everybody did think he was going to leave because that's just what happens. It's not even a Money Williams thing. This is a men's college basketball thing. Last year, 43% of the players transferred? Anybody that's an all-league player in a mid-major league like the Big Sky Conference that has eligibility remaining, they just transfer. That's just what it happens. Like every year, you look at the Big Sky's all-league list, you're like, okay, who has eligibility left? Who's coming back? They're gone, right? Well, that wasn't the case this year. Money Williams coming back. Tajon Sawyer also coming back. Tajon was not quite an all-league player last year, but certainly a pivotal part of what the Grizz did last year on both sides of the court. Sawyer got an extra year because he's a junior college guy, so he got that year added back on, so he gets a super senior year with the Grizz. He had some off-season surgery, so he's still coming back from that, but he looked like he was healthy and back at it today when we talked to him. Here's 5 minutes with Grizz senior Tajon Sawyer.
Describe just what it's like. Obviously, a lot of new guys. It's kind of the trend in college basketball, right? You're going to have a lot of new faces every single year. But when you look around this team, like, how would you describe it? What do you see?
I think this is a very tough team, you know, especially like on the defensive side. I feel like we've come together, you know, a bit quicker than, you know, most teams that I've been a part of. You know, I feel like this is going to be a really good group, you know. We got a little bit of everything, you know. That's what the coaching staff, they bring a lot of people, you know, that can do, you know, multiple things, you know, do multiple jobs. So I think it'll be a fun one this year.
Having the success you guys had last year, how much does that influence your mindset coming into this year?
Oh, it's very high, you know. I feel like, you know, we can do this back to back. You know, the year before we won it last year, you know, we had a shot at winning another one. So I feel like I have that mindset of, you know, like a three-peat in my mind. So I think it's going to be great. You know, that's the big reason why I came back. I thought we could win it again.
Is that something you express to the new guys, is sort of the championship standard that exists at Montana?
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's definitely a standard here. You know, the coaches preach it, you know, every day of how they want us to play, and it works, you know. If we just listen and buy in, you know, it all works. So, you know, with the talent we got, I think, like I said, we got a great shot. I think a lot of people around know. So, yeah.
I know you guys haven't played a game yet, but what's similar about this year's team and what's different about this year's team?
Something similar is just, I think that toughness, you know, I think this team brings a lot of toughness, and, you know, similar to last year's team. And then, you know, something different is, you know, last year we had a lot more, you know, scorers, like guards, you know, that guard play. I feel like this year we got a mixture of everything, like, and we could play more power ball, you know, we're a bit bigger too this year. And the defense is going to be pretty good.
What's got you most excited about the new guys that you've been playing with throughout the offseason?
I mean, just playing with new faces just gets me excited, you know. Just playing with different styles of play, you know, learning something new from different people. So I think, you know, just being, you know, a veteran on the team, I just try to help guys, you know, see what the coaches want, you know, in the player aspect, you know, to help it, like, get it more, so.
For you, what's the best part about getting to come back here and play another year at Montana?
I mean, just playing in this environment, you know. Last year was crazy, you know. We made a crazy run, you know, going to the March Madness, you know. This coaching staff is amazing, you know. I love the work and, like, the places, like, you know, they put me in. So it was like an easy choice not to come back.
Playing against Wisconsin and playing in the Big Dance, what did that teach you?
It taught me toughness, to be honest. Playing, opponents, around the higher talent or around the same level, and playing bigger players. It taught me how to be tough, So I'm, as a shorter post, I had to play against some 7-footers, so it makes it a little bit easier, coming back, playing in Big Sky Conference, So just that experience.
You could tell last year there was a point at which everyone kind of figured out their role, and then you guys kind of started rolling. What's that like this year? Trying to be patient and it's going to take some time to figure out how all the new pieces fit. How do you kind of approach that as one of the leaders on the team?
Just taking a step every day. It's going to come. We got to see, how we first got to play a game and see how we play together. But just learning every day, taking in new information, just make sure we dial, listening what the coach is saying, and just talking.
What was the team's reaction to Money getting preseason player of the year?
Oh, we was all excited. We had a preseason player of the year on our team, and then I think we have a lot of other guys that can, be conference players of the year. You never know. So I just know we was ranked number 1, and I feel like in our heart we were definitely number 1. So.
I know Money's kind of your guy, so what's it like him being back and obviously the talent he brings to the table?
Oh, it's great, just getting to play with him another year, it's kind of like some Shaq and Kobe type stuff, Literally, I don't think they could stop us, but, it's going to be fun, playing offense, defense, learning more, getting just to click with the rest of the guys. It's going to be a fun one.
Shaq and Kobe, Tayshaun Sawyer, and Money Williams. We'll see. But that could be a fun one. I love when guys actually say what they mean what they say. He's a fun young man to get to know. We've had a fun time having him on the show. It's our ESPN Roundtable here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. It's probably presented by Stockman Bank. Stockman Bank invites you to experience the Stockman difference. As a family-owned community bank with locations throughout Montana, Stockman Bank is committed to enriching the lives of Montanans and helping communities succeed. What that means to you is your money stays in the local economy, supporting your friends and your neighbors. Stockman Bank has more than 40 locations in Montana. They're in Montana, only in Montana, and they plan on keeping it that way. Let Stockman Bank show you Montana's brand of banking. The man himself, the head coach of the University of Montana, he is in his 12th season at the helm. He was the Big Sky Conference Coach of the Year a year ago after leading the Grizz to the Big Sky Conference regular season championship and a trip to the NCAA tournament. Travis DeKeer here on 102.9 ESPN Radio.
The excitement of getting going, and obviously today's college basketball, a lot of new guys, a lot of new teams. So how would you just describe what it's been like getting going?
It's been great. Back at it, it's always fun to be back in the gym on a consistent basis with not a lot of hour restraints, right? In the preseason, it's short stints in and out. It's not necessarily as productive as it is when you get to full practices. So now we're just trying to figure out who we are. We've had some opportunities to play somebody in a different color jersey a couple times, and now we're just trying to figure out what areas we want to attack first in terms of our improvement preparation for real games.
I think probably in the first 6 or so years on the job, a lot of times you were returning a lot of the core of the team, and you kind of know what to expect early on. Obviously, that probably comes with some frustrations year in and year out, but also maybe some refreshment. How would you describe what that's like year in and year out, having it be a totally different team?
Yeah, there's positives and negatives, right? It's interesting because we returned 2 guys that played real minutes, and we returned the most experience of anyone in the conference outside of Portland State, right? And so it's interesting how that happens, which means that we're still in a good spot in terms of continuity. That's when the summers really are important because, now from June through August, you're evaluating what you're bringing in as opposed to in the past we spent a lot of time with player development. And we still try to do that, but you got to figure out what guys can or can't do before you can develop, right? And so it makes those summers very interesting. And then it makes the September way more valuable in terms of your preparation, whereas in the past, September was a lot of opportunity to experiment with things you might want to do. So less time for experiments now and more evaluate and try to squeeze in some development.
Is there some stuff you can learn from last year in terms of the way you guys did come together as a team that you can sort of take into this year?
Yeah, be patient. My patience was challenged last year. The chemistry was great in terms of guys wanting to celebrate each other's successes and okay with sharing time and shots and things like that. But then the chemistry wasn't great in terms of role definement. What's a good shot? What's not a good shot? What's he good at? What's he not good at? It took them a long time to figure out how to make each other play to each other's strengths. And so once we figured that out, we became a good team. But prior to mid-January, we were not very good.
You mentioned the patience. There's kind of a formula for maybe how you did things. Does that help at all maybe with the early portion of this group?
Yeah, but I think everyone in the country can say that they've been there, right? And so, I think the continuity is the huge thing. And I know I mentioned we only returned 2 guys that played real minutes, but we returned 6 guys that understand what it is to be in this program on a day-to-day basis. The value of being in school and not having off-court distractions so we can talk basketball. The value of showing up every day prepared for film and learn from walkthroughs and conversations and understanding that those things are just as valuable as the sweat we break. And that's probably why when you looked up and see the exhibition game, who was on the floor. And so, I think we're in a good spot in that regard. And then each year's just going to be a little different because the new guys, you've got different things that you've got to, kind of orchestrate for them to be successful. Whereas last year, it was more talent-driven. There were, guys that we had come in and played a lot of basketball. Kai Johnson had been a 3-year starter. Malik Moore was a starter at a higher level. Joe Christian had played 5 full seasons. And so now we're transferring guys that don't have much playing experience. So it's a lot different.
That nucleus of guys that you bring back, obviously you mentioned Tejon and Money played a lot and things like that, but when you have some of the other guys that can talk to these guys and tell them how you guys did win last year, how much have you leaned on them?
A lot. More so in individual conversations, but then also just, they lead by example too. How you get from one girl to the next, and, the usage of terminology and things like that. So they all have impacted the transition for the new guys in their own special ways, and some of them have had to make transitions too because they're in new ways.
Money mentioned that a lot of people thought he was going to leave, but he never thought he was going to leave, and he stayed. So what do you think of his loyalty, and what do you think of him being preseason player of the year?
There's no words for how I feel about the decision he made, or even how he processed it, because he never talked. The portal never came out of his mouth. Transfer never came out of his mouth. Anything other than putting on a Montana jersey never was in a conversation that he ever started. We brought some things to him as options and things to consider before making final decisions that we thought were important for him moving forward. But never did he bring any of that to us. And that's a very special situation, and that's why we love him as much as we do, and his teammates follow him and support him the way they do. He's a very selfless young man that wants a lot out of basketball, but he enjoys life as well.
Obviously, defending champs, voted number 1. I think Money and Tay, they're going to understand what comes along with that. How do you kind of get a true freshman or a transfer who's coming from a program that maybe hasn't had that success ready to be kind of a hunted kind of a program?
It's hard. Fortunately, I've been in a situation a lot, whether it was here or Cal or Dominion, where you're coming off of a championship and you return enough ammunition that people think you're still going to have a good team, and then playing through expectation, because that's the hardest thing. I much would prefer to be picked 4th or 5th and have something to be mad about and not have to worry about motivating the guys to put in the work. And so when you see banners and you hear people tell you you're good, you start to believe. And so complacency's always been the one thing I've been afraid of, and that's the biggest thing we try to avoid. So we just find new ways to talk about things that you're better at and show them every day what you're not good at. While patting them on the back when they make improvements, but just keep the hunger. And if we can do that, we'll be fine.
Year 12 for you. Just how's it feel, kind of you entering a new season? Does it feel different, or just what's kind of your perspective on that?
It feels good. This is the second half for me in terms of pre-COVID, post-COVID. And I think college basketball is completely different after COVID. And the first 2 years of it were very hard. And I could feel fatigue from one season to the next. And the last 2 years have been special in terms of the program, chemistry, the young men we've had in the program. And so I've been excited from one year to the next, a lot like I was in my first 2 to 3 years. So it's been great. Year 12 is phenomenal. Feels like year 3 right now.
Even if the faces are different, you guys have proven the last couple of years that like the core tenets of basketball, like chemistry and teamwork, are still very important. How have you been able to manifest that on the court the last couple of years?
A large percentage of our fundraise dollars go to them. It's the time spent in June and July. It's the time spent in travel. It's the time spent at a coach's house. You got to get these guys together. You got to keep them together. You got to get to know one another. You share the adversities. You support through the adversities. And once guys start realizing that this is how a family's supposed to operate, you become one. And that's really what this has been for us the last few years. Is really in all 11 years. We've been a family in one way or another. Some years you see it more than others.
We talked about the state of the Big Sky Conference and where the Big Sky fits in the national landscape as well. I got Travis DeKeer's opinions on some of that too. So if you want to find that full interview, you can find it on our various podcast channels and also have it on YouTube later tonight as well. Once I get it exported off the camera, it's just a busy day. But either way, appreciate those guys for hosting a little media event for us, and appreciate Stockman Bank for being the proud presenters of the ESPN Roundtable. Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. They are all over the state of Montana, and that's it. They're only in Montana, and they are going to keep it that way. Let Stockman Bank show you Montana's brand of banking today. Speaking of basketball season, the Grizz have had their exhibition game against Denver over the weekend, but they do dive into the regular season. They play Northwest Indian College on Monday, and then they play Ottawa, who is I believe, NAIA team from Arizona on Wednesday. But then it's all the way in, playing in Stanford on Saturdays. That's going to be quite a jump. From Northwest Indian and Ottawa to Stanford at UNLV, and then Cal Poly the next time you can catch the Grizz at home. That's on November 14th. So if you are interested in going to these games, we will start doling out the tickets here probably a little later on this week. We have a full set of tickets for you to all of the various Grizz and Lady Grizz games. We'll be giving those away here on our airwaves. And if you want to get some season tickets are on sale for both the men and women. I think both teams have a chance to be very good. And if you'd like to find out more about season tickets, you can go to gogrizz.com and just click on buy tickets on the respective pages, or you can go to umt.edu/GrizzTix. Lady Grizz open up their season Tuesday at home against Seattle Pacific. And then they also jump into the belly of the beast. They play at Oregon on Saturday, and they play at Washington on Monday. Then they got nationally reputable and national tournament qualifier South Dakota State on November 15th. That's a Saturday. This non-conference is crazy. They also play BYU in Missoula. They play Utah in Missoula. And then they have the Big Sky Summit League Challenge, North Dakota. They play at North Dakota. Then they host St. Thomas. Then they play at Houston, at Abilene Christian, against Tarleton State in Abilene, and then they're into Big Sky Conference play. That's as tough of a non-conference as you will find anywhere in the country for a mid-major. Great job by Nate Harris and his staff and the UM Athletic Department for scheduling that for a first-year head coach, because I think that's going to, who knows what the success will be like. They'll probably struggle to find a ton of wins in there, but it ain't going to get any harder than playing Oregon, Washington, South Dakota State, BYU, and Utah like that. There's no stretch in the Big Sky that's going to be like that. So good job by the Lady Grizz for scheduling a tough schedule. And if you'd like season tickets for either of these squads, go grizz.com, or you can go umt.edu/GrizzTix. ESPN Roundtable, probably presented by Stockman Bank of Montana. We'll take a break, come back, talk some Northern Colorado. That's who Montana State plays in Greeley. We're also going to hear from Jake Mason, a defensive lineman for the Grizz football team. That's all next. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Attention Grizz Hockey fans, single game tickets are now on sale at grizzhockey.com. Don't miss your chance to secure the best seats for every exciting home game. This year, we're taking the fan experience to the next level. From music and a live pregame show in the parking lot to a professional DJ and MC energizing the crowd inside the arena. Enjoy new intermission games in the best bar in Missoula, all while cheering on the most talented Grizz Hockey team yet. Tickets are waiting. Head to grizzhockey.com today. Grizz Hockey, where the action begins.
What do we Missoulians do best? We support our local stores. What do Palmer's and Lolo Drug do best? They provide the best in local pharmacy for our community. Palmer's Drug and Lolo Drug are the alternatives to big box chain pharmacies. Expect short wait times, free medication shipping, and friendly service. Palmer's Drug at 918 Southwest Higgins is the most convenient way to get your prescriptions in the Garden City. And if you're passing through Lolo, swing by Lolo Drug right off of Highway 93. Palmer's Drug and Lolo Drug, come discover what local pharmacy can do for you.
If you're in search of a trading card of your favorite player, or if your kids are, swing into Zootown Sports Cards. If there's a card of a player you're searching for, Zootown Sports Cards has the cards. With an almost endless collection of singles and inserts, whatever and whoever you're in the market for, Zootown Sports Cards has it. 1990s NBA stars, Zootown has it. 2000s football players, Zootown has it. And looking through the collection is half of the fun. Come check out all of what Zootown Sports Cards has to offer in the Stevens Center in Missoula.
Hey, it's Coral from The Stone. Football season is here, and we're ready for you at The Stone. Fill up on our famous Stone brunch before the game and grab some minis in our liquor store before hitting the tailgates. Buy 5 minis and get your 6th one free. The Stone is your one-stop shop for pregame. Visit The Stone and the Emerald Casino, just a stone's throw away on North Reserve.
Hello, I'm Angie Miller from Ryan Miller & Coburn Trial Attorneys. Because of my background with a biology degree, I bring in expertise when it comes to cases of medical malpractice and personal injury. You don't want to fight the insurance companies yourself. Let Ryan Miller & Coburn help you earn the justice you deserve.
You can call Ryan Miller & Coburn anytime, 542-2233, or visit rmcattorneys.com. Ryan Miller & Coburn, your Montana attorneys.
Join the American Indian Women's Book Club, hosted by All Nations Health Center. If you're looking for a welcoming, culturally grounded space to connect with other Native women, come share stories, explore powerful Indigenous literature, and build a community together at the American Indian Women's Book Club, hosted by All Nations Health Center. The next book club meeting is November 11th at 1519 South Russell in Missoula at 5:30 p.m. Each gathering includes a potluck dinner, book discussion, and a craft activity or writing exercise. Visit All Nations Health Center on Facebook for more info and to register.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The Grizz and the Bobcats kept rolling as the calendar turns to the final month of the regular season this weekend. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Number 4, Montana, cranked its offense to yet another level thanks in part to Michael Wortham's continued candidacy for the Walter Payton Award. Friday night at Sac State, Wortham rolled up 238 all-purpose yards, including 89 yards rushing and 80 yards receiving. He scored 3 total touchdowns, including a pair of highlight reel plays that left Sac State stuck in the proverbial mud at Hornet Stadium. The Grizz turned a 21-21 tie into a 42-21 runaway, and Sac kept fighting, but the Grizz slammed the door, earning a 49-35 victory to remain undefeated at 8-0. Sac fell to 4-4. Montana State won its 6th straight game after taking Cal Poly's best shot in the 4th quarter. The Bobcats rolled to a 27-3 lead behind Julius Davis's career rushing day before the host Mustangs came storming back. Cal Poly scored 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns to cut the lead to 27-17 before the Bobcats slammed the door. Adam Jones scored a touchdown, his 8th of the season, and MSU won going away 34-17 for its 6th straight victory. Around the rest of the Big Sky Conference, UC Davis remained undefeated against FCS opponents with a 27-16 win at Northern Colorado. Eastern Washington won for the 3rd straight week, outlasting Weber State 23-20 in Ogden. Idaho snapped its 4-game losing streak by drilling winless Portland State 45-6, and Northern Arizona moved to 2-2 in league play with a 31-18 win over Idaho State in Pocatello.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
And to put it in a song, and it goes like, whoa, amber is the color of your energy. Whoa, shades of gold displayed naturally. You want to know what brings me here? Fly through my
1029 ESPN Radio. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal, the only bear that should be in your garbage. Montana State plays in Greeley, Colorado against Northern Colorado on Saturday. This is a noon kickoff. So that'll be a little bit more favorable of a travel schedule for MSU. They played at 6 o'clock in California last week, so they didn't get home till about 4:30 in the morning. So this will be one where you can get the game done and then get back at a reasonable time. Northern Colorado, it seems like a game that everybody just checks the box, that it's just going to be a win when you play them. But if you don't win the game, it's a catastrophe no matter who you are in the Big Sky Conference. That is the status that Northern Colorado occupies. That said, this is the best Northern Colorado team in quite some time. That might be crazy to say, considering they're 3-5 and they're only 1-3 in conference play. But when you go through their schedule, they beat Chadron State. It was a weird game that had a lightning delay. So 17-3, nothing crazy dominant, but they had to sit around for a couple hours. So I don't know, grain of salt there. But if you watch the game at Colorado State, Northern Colorado won the game. They threw a touchdown that then got overruled, and there was no discernible reason why it got overruled. And then the officiating crew had to apologize afterwards. They lost that game 21-17, but that made scuttle all across the country. Multiple coaches in the Big Sky talked about how they had watched the ending of that game and they thought Northern Colorado got jobbed. So, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I thought they truly scored the game-winning touchdown and then it got called off. So take that for what it's worth. The next week they went to Vermilion, South Dakota, and they lost in overtime 24-17. That's a South Dakota team that's not nearly as good as what their preseason number 12 ranking was. But still, even let's just say you split those two, you're off to a 2-1 start. Then Northern Colorado beat Houston Christian 26-23. They lost 26-18 to Idaho State. They went to Moscow and drilled Idaho 49-33. Then they lost 40-35 in a game they were in down to the very end against Sacramento State. And then last week they were down 24-0 against UC Davis, but they did make it a little bit of a game, 27-16. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, whatever. But I would say Northern Colorado is more like a 4-4 team. And again, you could say, Colter, what are you talking about? How's a 4-4 team much better than what Northern Colorado's been? Well, it's because of what they have been. Ed Lamb was 1-22 in his career at Northern Colorado before this year. 1 win in 2 years. Before that, Ed McCaffrey only won 6 games in 2 years at the helm. Before that, Ernest Collins was 19-53, and before that, Scott Downing was 9-47. You add it all up, Northern Colorado's won 35 games in the history of their time in the FCS. They've been an FCS member since transitioning from Division II in 2006. So that's almost 20 years. They've won 35 games in that entire span. So again, if you are the team that loses to Northern Colorado, that is a catastrophe no matter who you are in the scope of the season. All of that said, I actually think that narrative's changing a little bit. I think Ed Lamb has done a very nice job in terms of rebuilding this program. And I think they're competitive. I think the Montana State's going to have to play well there in Greeley to get it done. We'll hear from Ed Lamb tomorrow here on this, either tomorrow or Friday, depending on when I can nail down a time with him. But either way, he'll give us some thoughts on what's going on with the a little bit of a resurgence there. They're certainly tough on defense. They've looked good in flashes. They've looked at least competitive in flashes. So certainly Montana State's going to have to bring it on Saturday in Greeley. We'll take a break, come back, and talk some more Grizz football. We'll hear from Jake Mason, a defensive lineman for the Grizz football team. That's next. Keep it right here at 102.9 ESPN Radio. Elevated Tax and Accounting is not your average accounting firm.
The way that we really like to differentiate ourselves is taking a proactive approach to your tax and accounting needs. One of the most common frustrations that we hear is that a taxpayer or a business owner heard of something that they could have been taken advantage of from a friend or a coworker, and they didn't hear it from their accountant. And it turns out they could have been taking advantage of that for years to save them money. So we want to take a proactive approach. We're meeting with you throughout the year. We're not just your accountant during tax time. We're your accountant all the time.
If you want to save money on your taxes this year, visit elevatedtax.com.
This fall, the Montana Club is serving up comfort the Montana way. Start with the club's hearty porterhouse pork chop paired perfectly with sweet potato casserole. Or dig into the hand-breaded chicken thighs topped with a rich sage peppercorn country gravy. Craving cozy? Nothing beats the Montana Club's golden crusted chicken pot pie, and that's just the beginning. Experience that full fall flavor at an incredible value at the Montana Club and MontanaClub.com on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Got wisdom teeth pain? Let Big Sky Smiles and Sedation take care of it with gentle, effective sedation dentistry and a price that won't knock you out. Big Sky Smiles and Sedation won't overcharge and will remove your wisdom teeth for under $3,000, including sedation. No hidden fees, no stress, just experienced care at a great price. Big Sky Smiles and Sedation. Going to the dentist doesn't have to be a memorable experience. Call Big Sky Smiles and Sedation today, 406-549-6222, or visit BigSkySmilesandSedation.com.
Trisha Droback with Run Wild Missoula here. Join me Thursday, November 6th with fellow MC and professional trail runner Jeff McGovero as Montana Trail Crew presents the 12th Annual Mountain Running Film Festival at the historic Wilma. The evening features a collection of inspiring films highlighting the joy, inspiration, and potential of mountain and trail running in Montana and beyond. Proceeds from this event fund local trail stewardship projects. See you November 6th at the Wilma in downtown Missoula for the Mountain Running Film Festival. Details and tickets at runwildmissoula.org.
It's hard to admit, but the bad weather is around the corner. Sooner than later, the roads are going to be covered in sludge and slush, and you don't want that on your car. Instead, you want to treat your car like it deserves to be treated at Dazzler's Car Wash of Missoula. And to do that on a consistent basis at the most thorough car wash in the Garden City, you need to get yourself an unlimited package so you can get your car washed a few times a month. Starting at just $34 monthly, get an unlimited package from Dazzler's Car Wash. Treat your car like it deserves to be treated with unlimited memberships at Dazzler's Car Wash of Missoula.
Coulter Nuanez from ESPN Montana here, and I can't tell you how much high-speed fiber internet from Blackfoot Communications has improved my life. It might sound simple, but having lightning-fast upload speeds lets me record video calls in 4K to use on our Nuanez Now radio and television show. It also allows us to produce content with world-class efficiency, and I can work from home even if my wife is streaming her HD TV. If you want to experience the fastest internet speeds possible, you need fiber internet from Blackfoot. Find out more about fiber in your area by visiting blackfoot.com.
1, 2, 3. Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. I'm Coulter Nuanez. We are, as always, coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned and veteran-owned, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. You're missing in the first hour or the second hour of the show. Fun show so far. We talked everything from FCS on the national level to Montana State football to World Series baseball. We also talked some Grizz basketball with Travis DeCuire, Buddy Williams, and Tajon Sawyer. We also talked a little bit about Northern Colorado as they get set to host the Bobcats. Turn it back to the Grizz side here in just a quick minute, but if you missed anything in the podcast, you can always find it on the Nuanez Now podcast, probably presented by Elevated Text, elevating you and your business with a modern professional touch. Time for our latest Grizz Star of the Week. Grizz Star of the Week probably presented by Dazzler's Car Wash of Missoula. Treat your car like it deserves to be treated at Dazzler's Car Wash. And we go now to the Elevated Tax and Accounting phone line. Welcome in Jake Mason. He's a sophomore defensive lineman for the Grizz football team. Jake, thanks for being here, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you guys.
Of course, man. Happy to have you here. First of all, I got to ask you where you're from. I have only been to Ferndale one time, but I bet you I'm one of the only people you've met that's been to Ferndale since you got to Montana. I used to be a sports writer out there in Washington, so I went and covered a playoff game up there. Also went there once to write a story on Jake Locker, the great quarterback from the University of Washington who went on to play for the Tennessee Titans. So have you run across very many people that have been to your hometown since you've been here in Missoula?
Not a lot, actually. I mean, I have a couple friends that are going to school here, so I've known a couple of those people from classes that graduated before me. But that's really about it. And then obviously we have some coaches that go up there and recruit, but not a whole lot of people I've met out here that have been up to that area before now.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Ferndale, not a very big town, but there's some good football tradition there. I mean, Dennis Erickson's from there. You know, the College Football Hall of Fame coach, Jake Locker. I think Doug Peterson, a Super Bowl winning coach, is from there too. So some good football tradition. Did that influence you growing up? I mean, did you know about those guys and look up to those guys when you were a kid?
Yeah, I knew about Jake Locker from a young age. I mean, he's always around the community. I mean, he ran our summer lifts all throughout high school, and we're super thankful for that. So, I mean, growing up and getting to go to a camp that he put on, the 9-10 youth camp with Michael Keenan too, who was a household punter and kicker name back a while ago. I mean, getting to go to camps like that and experience what they do is awesome, and definitely influenced me to pursue what I'm doing now. So.
Well, it's awesome. Well, good for you, and thanks for sharing that about your hometown. Tell us about just being in Missoula and being in Montana. I know you started your career there in Seattle with the Washington Huskies, but you've been here in Missoula for the last couple of years. So what have you thought? How's life been in Missoula? What do you think of going to school at the University of Montana?
Oh, yeah, I love it. It's been awesome so far. I mean, the weather's kind of similar to back home. I mean, we don't get as much rain here as we do in Washington. It gets a little colder in the winter, a little hotter in the summer. But, I mean, I've loved it so far. Everyone's super friendly. I love all my teammates. They all welcome me with open arms when I got here, which is always super nice. And, yeah, so it's been awesome so far.
When it comes to just your role on this defense, you've played a little bit on the inside, a little bit on the outside these last couple of years. Now it seems like you're settling in a little bit more on the outside. So how's it changed? How has it evolved? And what do you think of just the role you're playing right now for the Grizz defense?
Yeah, when I got here, there was more of a need at nose. So that's what I ultimately ended up playing and doing more kind of pass rush stuff on third down. And then once, obviously, after we ended last year, we had some openings up at end, and that's what I originally played. I mean, I played that in high school. I played that at Washington. So I feel more comfortable there on the edge, or end, I guess I'd say. And then, yeah, so just adjusting to that, adjusting the playbook, learning like a whole new part of the playbook has been a big thing for me. So obviously going through spring, I had some big jumps I had to make, and I'm thankful that I was able to learn the playbook pretty quickly, and yeah.
Jake Mason joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as a defensive lineman for the Grizz football team. You mentioned just sort of picking up the defense, and it seems like a complex one, certainly to pick up. So when it comes to getting everybody on the same page, what's that process like, especially when you do have a bunch of guys that are relatively new to it? Because it seems like you guys have really progressed and made improvements as the weeks have gone along. What does that take to sort of have a unit full of new guys that does make improvements incrementally each week?
Yeah, I just think that it comes down to how bad guys want it. I think we got a team here of guys that really want it bad, and they want to know, and they want to be successful every Saturday. So, yeah, I'd say that's a big piece, too. And we have guys watching film all the time and, meeting coaches all the time just to know how they can get better, how their technique can improve, and, as far as aiming points go and stuff like that, too. So I just think it comes down to the group of guys that and wanting to work hard to be better.
Well, you guys bring so much pressure. You put so much pressure on opposing offenses. But this last week, you got home a bunch, too. 6 sacks, an impressive number. Peyton Wing, Big Sky Conference Defensive Player of the Week. So what went into last week? How were you guys able to not only put pressure like you always do, but also get home and sack the quarterback as many times as you did?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of credit goes to Coach Coop there for calling a good game. And then, obviously, throughout practice every week, we were working on, staying active in the rush game and, keeping good pocket integrity. And almost throwing a tantrum as we're rushing to, and not giving up on the play, even if he is scrambling around. So that's what I'd say went into that.
Just getting that win. I mean, going to Sacramento, especially with all the mess that was talked all week long and stuff. I mean, I know you guys don't need any more motivation than you already have as you're chasing a national championship right now, but it probably felt pretty good to go down to Sacramento and get a big-time win.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, every win right now is a big win, especially as we continue our push later in the season. With where we're at in our record right now. So, I mean, everyone's a huge win, but that one felt pretty good, too, especially with, all the outside noise that was going on. I mean, it wasn't a huge deal to us, but we're definitely add a little bit to it, I'd say.
Well, and, because the scheme is such a team-oriented scheme and it takes so many moving parts to get it done, you guys must have taken great pride as a unit that Peyton Wing picked up that weekly award. So what did you think of his performance, but also how much pride just as a total defense did you guys take in getting another weekly award like you've been able to rack up so far this year?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, Peyton played one heck of a game. I mean, and that comes down to, him doing his part, too, but also a lot of the other guys, setting him up to where he can go get home. I mean, if we have a pressure coming, it comes down to, other guys, whether that be, occupying the guard for a little bit so he can go get home. There's all sorts of moving pieces with our defense. And, it takes all 11 of us to do our jobs for us to be successful. So, yeah.
Jake Mason joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Now you turn the page into November, going down to Weber State. I know that's a team that came to your guys' place and beat you last year. So how are we feeling going down to Ogden, and what's the initial thoughts on the Wildcats?
Yeah, they're a good team. We've been taking prep really seriously this week as we just wrapped up our Wednesday practice and move into Thursday tomorrow. I mean, it's a team that we look forward to going and playing. And, that's pretty much all I got for you on that. But good team.
Well, just the matchup that always you point to when Montana plays Weber, they are always good on the offensive line. You guys are always good on the defensive front. So you guys looking forward to the challenge, I'm imagining. So what are your initial thoughts on Weber State's offensive line?
Yeah, their offensive line's coached well. I mean, they do a lot of things well, whether that be run counter, run stretch, run split zone, and stuff like that. So as long as we're good and executing our play calls and, being physical on the line of scrimmage, using our hands well, and, all those little things, running our feet on contact, I mean, we should put ourselves in a good spot.
Well, I got to ask you. We got to ask you while we have you here. I know most of the time when you're on the sidelines and the offense is on the field, you guys are probably writing stuff on the board and watching some clips and getting ready for your next defensive stand. But if and when you do get a chance to watch Michael Wortham, what's it like for a defender to watch a guy like that? Because he's just been so fun to watch for us.
Yeah, that guy's different. I mean, I can think back to going to Eastern last year and watching that guy. I mean, I was take kick returns to the 40 every time. I was like, man, that guy is good. And then obviously being on the sideline, get to watch him here is awesome. I mean, I'm glad I don't have to be out there trying to tackle that guy when he's running down the field making guys miss. So I'm thankful that he's a part of our team, and he's just a great all-around person too, as well as his athletic ability.
Well, good to have him on your side, no doubt. Jake Mason joining us here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Jake, appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much. Travel safe this weekend, and go get him down in Ogden.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
It's our Good Star of the Week, probably presented by Dazzler's Car Wash of Missoula. Treat your car like it deserves to be treated all winter long at Dazzler's Car Wash. Get yourself an unlimited package starting at $31 at Dazzler's. If you're going to get your car washed more than once a month, you got to just get one of these. You're going to be basically saving money immediately upon your second car wash each month. You can check them out online. You can get the Dazzler's Car Wash app, or you can just swing by their beautiful car wash right next to us here on Radio Way in Missoula. Dazzler's Car Wash, the premier, most efficient car wash in the city of Missoula. Appreciate Jake Mason for joining us here on Nuanez Now. First time I talked to that young man. Well spoken, fun interviewing him. Good interviews this week. Yeah, it's funny. Most of these guys are plenty fine, plenty good at talking. But this week I said I texted Montana Sports Information Director. I said, "Hey, let's go some big boys this week. Let's give the big guys some love." So we had Cade Klimzak, the center, yesterday, and then Jake Mason today. And I always love giving the lineman the perspective, right? Because first of all, if you're a lineman, I'm a lineman. We sat there dreaming about getting interviewed all the time, and we usually only get one or two ever in our careers. I remember when Tom Katz, former K-Pax guy, came by Missoula Big Sky's practice, and he was doing a feature story on our stud running back at Big Sky, Carter McGrath, and he says to Coach Gary Eckergan, he says, "I want to talk to the offensive lineman because I need some stuff about Carter." And we were all fighting. We all wanted to be on TV. We've been planning what we were going to say for forever, our whole lives. So got a little bit with the big guys on the show because they've been doing it too, right? They always got something funny to say or fun to say. So appreciate our guests this week, and just appreciate these guys for making time. I know it's a little bit of a squeeze to get them live right after practice, but appreciate Eric Tabor for his facilitation, and also appreciate these guys for always hopping on the show. The thing I can't get past is what Weber State is right now as a football program. It's weird because it's not as if they're just terribly bad or like the worst in the league or the country or anything like that. They're not. They're somewhere in that bottom third or maybe even in the middle of the Big Sky. Like they're not in the top half, but they're also not just like the absolute bottom, at least not yet. But it's just weird considering what they were. I mean, a short time ago, Weber was a perennial playoff team. I mean, Jay Hill took them from no good. They were really good in the late 2000s under Ron McBride. Then they had the total disaster with all the coaching turnover where John L. Smith came there for half a minute. Then he pieced out to go to Arkansas when the Bobby Petrino scandal went down. Then Jody Sears comes in. He does nothing. He pieces out. Robin Pflugrad was there as the offensive coordinator for a minute. They had all these coaches that had all these Big Sky ties, but nobody was there for any semblance of time. And that really helped crater them out. But at that point, they were just dysfunctional and bad. They weren't irrelevant. Then Jay Hill came in, and he immediately made them relevant, and then he immediately made them contenders, and then he immediately made them Big Sky champions. They won 4 Big Sky championships under Jay Hill. They went to the playoffs 6 times, went to the quarterfinals 4 times, went to the semifinals once. I mean, shoot, they beat Montana in the quarterfinals in 2019. That was a pretty good Montana team. Now, I don't even think of them when I think about the Big Sky. And that's crazy. That's a crazy situation to be in. And again, it's not because they're bad. They're just sort of irrelevant. They're going to certainly be striving for some relevancy this weekend, though. They came to Missoula and won last year, and they got the Grizz coming to town on Saturday. We're going to roll right into the World Series. Once again, the Los Angeles Dodgers at home. Blake Snell on the bump versus Yuskavage for the Toronto Blue Jays. A pivotal Game 5. Who would have thought this would be a 2-2 series going into this Game 5? But either way, this is going back to Toronto. This is the swing game. This is the beginning of a 3-game series that's going to determine the world champions when it comes to Major League Baseball. So very much looking forward to this one. I don't have a lean in this. I can't wait to watch it. Straight into the World Series right after this. Don't change that down. Keep it right here. It's 102.9 ESPN Radio.
If you're in search of a trading card of your favorite player, or if your kids are, swing into Zootown Sports Cards. If they're